People are clearly within their rights to express themselves how they see fit. My own view, though, is we shouldn't do it on the anthem. The national anthem, our flag, and the people who defend it and represent it, that should be celebrated everywhere and always, and that's my opinion.
Okay, so, that, but he's not considered hardcore enough because Bannon's super hardcore, right? Bannon doesn't want people kneeling, and they should kneel if they're going to kneel to Trump. They should kneel before him. So how do you think Democrats are going to respond? Well, they're going to respond in the stupidest possible way because we've seen all week long it's just a vortex of dumb. So Sheila Jackson Lee, the radical left congressperson from, I believe she's from Texas, here she is kneeling on the floor of the United States Congress yesterday in solidarity with the people who are protesting Trump.
You tell me which of those children's mothers are a son of a bee. That is racism. You cannot deny it. You cannot run for it. And I kneel in honor of them. I kneel in front of the flag and on this floor. I kneel in honor of the First Amendment. I kneel because the flag is a symbol for freedom. I kneel because I'm going to stand against racism. I kneel because I will stand with those young men. And I'll stand with our soldiers, and I'll stand with America.
So I'm confused why kneeling is standing with our flag and our soldiers when you're kneeling in front of the flag. That's slightly confusing. I think that confuses most Americans. Only Democrats would be dumb enough to fall directly into this trap. They could just stand there, and you know what they could have done? What they could have done is they could have saluted the flag, right, to protest Trump. They could have said, President Trump doesn't even understand what the flag stands for. Let's all stand and sing together the national anthem. Can you imagine the impact of that? They could have seized the symbol back from Trump, but they're dumb. So they don't do that. And then it gets even dumber. Okay, so over at Georgetown, a bunch of professors are now kneeling. So Jeff Sessions, the attorney general, we'll get to him later. He did a great speech at Georgetown yesterday about freedom of speech on college campuses. Look at this picture of all the, look at this video of all the Georgetown professors kneeling. So stupid, man. So dumb.
We hope in the future that the university will truly uphold the principles of free speech, including the right to dissent. We thank you for being here.
And now they're all kneeling. Oh, happy day. But Hillary Clinton is now doing the same routine to Trump. She's saying maybe Trump is ordering the killing of journalists behind closed doors. Ooh, he's nefarious. Because if we know one thing about Trump, it's that he's secretive and clever. If you are the stupidest person on earth, you believe this. Here's Hillary Clinton.
I think
he's not a Democrat, little d.
No, he's not. He's a top-down guy, and
he's an authoritarian.
He has tendencies toward authoritarianism.
So he's no different than Putin.
Well, he, hopefully hasn't ordered the killing of people and journalists and the like.
I mean, hopefully. He might have, but, Again, every time I see Hillary Clinton, I feel compelled to comment on her sartorial choices. She got this one from Violet Beauregard, this particular outfit. And by the end of the episode, she actually turned into a large blueberry, and she had to be taken into the back room by the Oompa Loompas and squeezed. But in any case, the Democrats continue to just overreact and trip over their own feet. What I'm telling you on the show today, folks, is the world doesn't revolve around Trump. Okay, the world doesn't revolve. That Senate race in Alabama didn't revolve around Trump. Bob Corker stepping down doesn't revolve around Trump. The NFL stuff, it shouldn't revolve around Trump. It should be an issue of unity. Instead, it revolves around Trump. By shifting the polarity of politics from actual issues and policies and political differences to Donald Trump, all we're doing is confusing issues because it makes no sense. Trump isn't consistent. He doesn't have a consistent stance on any of these issues. He sort of just says things off the top of his head. So if you're reacting to Trump, you're reacting to the whirlwind. You're reacting to you're trying to tack Jell-O to the wall. So good luck with all of that. Meanwhile, the media, still obsessed with Trump, are trying to demonstrate that Trump is the bad guy in all of this. I'll explain why they say Trump is the bad guy in all of this. Here are the ramifications for the Republican Senate. Moore is in. This is a thorn in the side for Mitch McConnell, which is a good thing. Corker is out. Now, does that put the seat in play for Democrats? It's Tennessee. So it's pretty rare that a Democrat wins high office in Tennessee. Wins a Senate seat in Tennessee. It's been a little while since a Democrat has been the senator in Tennessee. In fact, I'm going to look it up right now. I think it's been about 20 years, if I'm not mistaken, since there was a Democrat in Tennessee as a senator. So him stepping down, I don't think actually changes things radically in the Senate. It does provide some risks. So yeah, the last time there was a Democrat in the Senate was 1994, because that's when Bill Frist was elected in 1994, and so was Fred Thompson. So Gore was the last senator from Tennessee, Al Gore, before he became vice president under Bill Clinton. So it's been 2 decades. So I don't think that that's a seat in danger of being lost to Democrats. which is a good thing, because I think that it's important that if the Republican caucus is going to be more unified on issues like Obamacare, we need people who are less pro-establishment, less pro-McConnell in there. A lot of the Tea Party candidates have been very good on this. Mike Lee is a great example. We're going to Utah today. I believe Utah has the best senator in the United States in Senator Mike Lee. He's just terrific. So the more of these people we get in place, the better it's going to be. I'd like to see somebody in the Tennessee Senate who really has the capacity to stand up to Mitch McConnell when Mitch McConnell decides to be a squish. And that is the continuation of this movement. The biggest problem is that Trump was never a good representative of this movement. Right? Trump rode this movement to victory, but he was never a good anti-establishment candidate. The man's cutting deals with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. I mean, Ann Coulter was pointing this out today. She's pointing out that Luther Strange was running neck and neck with Roy Moore until the point where Trump made a deal with Schumer and Pelosi, at which point people said, okay, Trump doesn't even understand this movement, so what does it matter if he endorses Luther Strange? So it's quite a fascinating dynamic and an important dynamic. Republicans are going to have to get their act together or transform from the inside with a new set of senators who are going to be more anti-establishment and more traditionally conservative if they hope to actually be able to legislate. Because Trump is good at one thing and one thing only, and that is starting culture wars and winning culture wars. He's actually quite good at this. The case in point, of course, the latest case in point is this NFL controversy. So if you look at the polls on the NFL controversy, Trump is winning. There's no question Trump is winning. So according to James Barrett over at Daily Wire, if you look at this issue specifically, this issue shows that he's doing really well. So there's a Reuters Ipsos poll, and the Reuters poll shows that on the NFL issue, Trump is winning dramatically. A majority of adults agree that players should not kneel, according to Reuters Ipsos. They disagree that players should be fired. So as I've been saying all along, there's a wide consensus. You shouldn't kneel for the anthem, but you shouldn't be fired if you do. Right, so the September 25th, 26th poll found 57% of adults do not think the NFL should fire players who kneel, but the results were split along party lines. 82% of Democrats and only 29% of Republicans disagreed with the president's comments about firing football players. So the firing of the football players is one issue, but the other issue is how many people think that it's good to kneel for the anthem. 85% of adults said they almost always stand in silence when the national anthem is played in an event they are attending. 74% said they always put their hand over their heart. 58% this poll doesn't even make any sense. 58% of adults said professional athletes should be required to stand during the national anthem at sporting events. So that's pretty amazing, right? 58% say that they should actually be required, right? So that means that they agree with Trump on that. So they disagree that they should be fired. They agree they should be required to stand. So that seems sort of contradictory and shows that framing in poll questions matters. And a rising percentage of people, because of Trump, believe that it's okay for people to sit during the anthem. 40% of Americans said they support the stance that some pro football players have made not to stand during the anthem. That's up from 28% last year. So Trump picked a winning issue, but he's polarized it, and that's why the percentages have shifted. So it's not actually a big victory for the right, but it is a big victory for Trump on this issue. Now, a lot of people have been trotting out the notion that Trump should have ignored this issue. I think Trump should have ignored this issue. I don't see the purpose of it. It was dying out. People thought it was unpopular and stupid. But again, this whole thing breaks down along partisan lines in a way that it simply shouldn't. It's one of my pet peeves now is issues that unify the country breaking down along partisan lines. And you can hear the White House using this as a political club. So Trump yesterday was at a press conference, and he was asked about the kneeling. And here's what he had to say.
I have plenty of time on my hands. All I do is work. And to be honest with you, that's an important function of working. It's called respect for our country. Many people have died. Many people. Many people are so horribly injured. I was at World Hospital recently, and I saw so many great young people, and they're missing legs, and they're missing arms, and they've been so badly injured. And they were fighting for our country. They were fighting for our flag. They were fighting for our national anthem. And for people to disrespect that by kneeling during the playing of our national anthem, I think is disgraceful.
Right. He's going to win that battle every single time. Right. That talking point is one that he's going to win every single time. But it is a partisan talking point. Right. It's become a partisan talking point instead of a unifying talking point. You can see that from Steve Bannon, my former boss over at Breitbart and former White House chief strategist, now back at Breitbart. Bannon was on with Sean Hannity the other night. And here's Steve Bannon explaining why this is now a partisan issue. I mean, this is pretty wild.
About taking a knee for the national anthem, I said in this speech tonight, If people in this country take a knee and the National Football League players want to take a knee, they should take a knee at night, every night. And thank God in heaven Donald J. Trump is President of the United States. He has saved this country so much grief. He has done such a tremendous job with virtually no help. And that's what I meant when I said that. I stepped out to make sure that Mitch McConnell and the Republican establishment starts to have a Republican back, because you know what? Mitch McConnell wouldn't be majority leader if Donald Trump didn't drag a half a dozen senators across the goal line in November. So it's time for the Republican.
There's so many things here that are false. First, the notion that Trump dragged senators over the finish line is 100% false. Okay, senators dragged Trump over the finish line. If anything, senators across the country outperformed Trump. But beyond that, the idea that NFL players, like, you want to polarize this along political lines? What Trump is doing is actually more unifying than what Bannon is doing here, right? Trump is actually saying that we should stand with all of the people who have lost limbs for our country, and Bannon is saying that these players should kneel before Trump. Right? He's literally doing the kneel before Zod routine. Right? He's doing Terrence Stamp, kneel before Zod. You think they're really going to take that well? This is the game, right? This is the game. You overreach a little bit, and then you overreach a little bit more, and the other side reacts, and then you play this game where everyone is divided on an issue where we all should be united. And what's happened is, because it's become a partisan political issue and because it's become divided, people who are not staunch enough in their language condemning people who kneel for the anthem, they're now considered squishes. So even if you say that you think the players shouldn't kneel for the anthem, but they have the right to do so if they want to, it's America. If you say that, but you aren't condemnatory enough of the people who kneel for the anthem, you're now considered a squish. So Steve Bannon is considered hardcore, but Paul Ryan is a squish. Here's Paul Ryan being squishy.